Notice MVP bouncing in to gauge his opponent's reaction. By bouncing in and then out, he's taking note of his opponent's reaction. The opponent will do one or two things: stand in place unaware of what he's doing, or try to advance forward to exchange. If the opponent stands in place, when MVP bounces in, he can deceptively cut the distance in half, making it much easier to explode in on his opponent without them being able to react quick enough, because they think he's going to bounce back out of range. He's setting a pattern to then break it. It's deceiving because his opponent views this as the default range. So MVP is creating the illusion that he's further away than he actually is. So when he bounces in, he then explodes into his attack at a much closer range. Here, we see Stephen Thompson utilizing the same technique against an advancing forward opponent. Here is a great example of someone utilizing the same footwork to exploit an advancing opponent that overextends. Here, we see Connor stepping in to lure Aldo into overextending. However, Aldo isn't biting just yet, so Connor steps in and explodes after stepping in to cut the distance. Now, we'll see an overeager Aldo bite the feint by lunging in when Connor steps back into range, allowing Connor to slide back out of range, leaving an overextended Aldo vulnerable to be countered. A similar example of MVP stepping back out of range to counter an overextended opponent. What makes this footwork so effective is, if you bounce in and then back out, and the opponent remains stationary, you can explode into an attack from a much closer distance when you bounce back into range, because they've become accustomed to the pattern of you bouncing back out of range when you bounce in. If they attempt to lunge in when you bounce in, you can slide back out of range and take advantage of an overextended opponent who's moving forward and overcommitted, leaving them extremely vulnerable to being countered, also doubling the power because they're running into the shot.